It's amazing, even at 40 years of age, your dad can still touch you with his words. But I know that it's only God, the reason why I stand before you. But I would like to first give honor to God, Pastor Hurd, First Lady Hurd, and the ministers, members, and friends. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. And thank you, Daddy, for that lovely introduction. God, I ask you to order my tongue and mind. Allow the words from my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight. Lord, my strength and my redeemer. I'm so full. And see, God is so intentional. And when you know he's so intentional to you, that the things that were meant to destroy you really helps you. So often I try to do things Donikia way, and I make a mess. And sometimes God has a way of pulling you back so you can see. And see, the spirit of depression is so real right now, and not only in this world, but even in this church. We wear a mask every day. And sometimes you get tired of wearing that mask. We bling that mask up. We make it look so amazing. Because, see, we don't want to be vulnerable to the people that we interact with. But if we believe that everything attached to us wins, then why is it that we don't want to take our mask off? I say all that to say that we all have sinned and fallen short, but we must understand in order to save people, then we must be open and honest with ourselves. I always tell people, when you own your mistakes, your past, nobody can use it against you to hurt you. Because, see, when you walk in the room, you bring an energy with you. And, see, you dictate and determine that energy when you walk in that space. If you walk in slow, you defeated. If you complaining, you're going to attract people that always complain. But if you walk with your head held high, now you think you're better than everybody. But when you walk with confidence of knowing whose you are, no matter what the naysayers say, they can't stop you because God's plan for you is untouchable. But sometimes we forget that. And when we forget whose we are, those people that we're supposed to be pouring into suffer the consequences of it. So as I was thinking about what to talk about, what's on my heart, I said, God, you use me. And I don't watch movies at all. But yesterday, the call came on, and it was the dispatcher, and, we had a guy kidnapping kids, and she beat herself up because something happened to the child, and it was out of her control. She was defeated. She got on anxiety and depression medication. But yet somebody poured into her and said, you matter. You make mistakes, but you can overcome this. So she came back. And when she came back, the same scenario happened again. But this time, she didn't listen to the supervisor. She said, God, give me the courage to be able to help this child. And she did that. She sacrificed herself, didn't know anything about the child, but she did what was necessary to save the child. And so in my mind, I was thinking, what if we did that for the children of our community? We see them struggling, but instead of talking about them, let's see what we can do to help them. Or maybe if we tell our story, baby, I was a teen mama, and it ain't what you think it is. It's harder than what you think it is. Then maybe we can plant seeds instead of talking about them. And then the next movie was the kidnap. Same person, Halle Berry. And I was like, this mother did any and everything to save her child. Her child. It didn't matter if she had to sacrifice her own life. But in the midst of saving her child, she saved other children. See, that's how we have to do. We have to not only save our children, but the children that are attached to our children, and so forth and so on. But see, a lot of us have the mindset of, I'm going to save my child. But do you know the biggest influence of your child is that child that lacks stability at home? And see, a lot of times we feel like if we buy them things, then they'll behave or they look nice. That's for your glorification, not theirs. Because he or she admiring those light up shoes. They're not caring about the Jordans. They don't know the sacrifices you made for them shoes. They playing in them and you mad. But you want them to get off the video game and go outside, but now they going outside in the shoes that you paid $100 for and you're mad. So which one you going to do? So we confuse our children unknowingly. But also, I started thinking about, we all have life jackets inside of us. Do you know what I mean by a life jacket? See, a life jacket's primary purpose is to keep a person afloat in the water, significantly increasing their chances of survival in case of an accident or emergency. See, our youth are drowning. Will you give them a life jacket? See, all of us have one, but will you give one to our youth? Many of us say, when I was younger, we used to do this, we used to do that. And I'm going to tell you something, the old way of doing things was not broken. See, we adjusted to the world and did not allow the world to adjust to us. And see, that's where we made mistakes at. And see, I used to blame the baby bloomers because I felt like they worked so hard so we didn't have to work hard, but now we became lazy. How many of us can manually mop? How many of us know how to make cornbread not out the box? How many of us really know how to cook? We got to go back to the roots. So in order for us to go back to our roots, that means we got to be in the spaces where our wisdom is. And see, back then, lady was seen, seldomly heard, meaning her presence alone was enough. Many asked me what I wanted to be growing up. I said a first lady or a deaconess, and they thought I was crazy. They say, why is that? I said, because she is seen and seldomly heard. Her presence, the God in her lights up the room. She don't seek validation from the congregation because she ensures that the pastor is poured into. She carries the burdens with him. They have those conversations. And see, that is something that I always admired. Because, see, my grandmother never wore pants. She always wore dresses. And, see, my grandma was 93 when she passed. And the thing was with my grandmother, it was a lady always carries herself as a lady. The street never knew what went on in the home. Now we got social media and now we're venting it. So now you wonder why everybody looking at you crazy because you put all your business out there. So you have to be mindful of that, and instead of taking it to social media, take it to the Lord in prayer. But as adults, we face things, and as I stated, we pour it down to our children. Let's talk about suicide. About 5 years ago, a 6-year-old committed suicide in Georgia. That was the youngest individual to commit suicide. And many of you wonder why a 6-year-old would want to commit suicide. Think about it. What you hear and what you see impacts your action. We don't monitor and inspect what we expect on the phones. How is it? And I know we couldn't shut doors in the house unless we were changing clothes. So we got to start going back and probing. Because a lot of youth think parents don't understand. Yes, they do. That's why they own you the way they are. I remember my 16th birthday. I told my dad, he asked me, what you want for your birthday? I said, freedom. Because I had a curfew and he didn't play about the curfew. So I said, freedom. And he said, okay, your curfew 10:30. 30 minutes extra, you know. And that's when he reminded me, when my phone rings, I never want to worry if it's you and something wrong. I used to tell stories like my dad would say, your curfew 10:30. I said, I'm on my way, but I ain't told him I'm in Athens, so that's a whole nother 45 more minutes. And see, I didn't realize until I was older that telling your parents where you are is not them being nosy, but if something happened, they can come find you. And he'll say, don't rush, you already late because I don't want you to have no accident. So I didn't understand it until I was older, and now I appreciate that. Because believe it or not, they love us. Now we're talking about cutters. A lot of people don't want to talk about cutters, but it's happening. We used to talk about individuals cutting their wrists. Now our youth are cutting the thigh area. Because think about it. Parents don't check individuals. They don't bathe you anymore. So they're cutting in the thigh area where you don't see it. And I have a lot of mentees that have done it in the past. They cut in the thigh area. And also those individuals with tattoos, pain eases pain. That's the mindset. So when they over tattoo, a lot of time it's some trauma. They're releasing some of that stress. Not that they want to kill themselves, but it's a form of release. And we camouflage it with it's art. You know, self-expression. This is why I did that. And I tell you that a lot of individuals with tattoos, it's a meaning behind it if you only will sit and listen. They say if you put it in a book, we won't read it. But everybody has a story to tell, but will you listen? So if you're not reading and you're not listening, what are you doing? Also, we have your gang members. Elbert County has gangs, been having gangs for over 10 years. It's not illegal to be in a gang, it's criminal gang activity. But the reason why gang exists because of individuals seeking validation. I've worked with the incarcerated for almost 17 years now, and I tell you that the sacrifices that are being made is not worth it. Because once they come to the jail or prison, it ain't nothing you can do about it. Your money, your degree, your title, your position does not matter. And when you've witnessed individuals commit suicide because they're afraid, it touches you in a whole nother level. And that's how Youth Lives Matters was birthed. Because we are taking away from our kids and not realizing that they just want to talk. Ask questions. How was your day? How many of you ask your children, how was your day today? Check that book bag. Passwords to social media because we do have older individuals preying on our young people. Especially my females that are getting jobs at 15 and 16. You work in the drive-through window and there it is. That's exact. It's right in your face. It's just normal. Think about it. You fussed at them this morning because they ain't make up their bed, so now they're vulnerable, going to school, going to work, and now this person gives them a compliment, and now they feel like they're the best person in the world when that should have came from the household. I realize that we do have a serious drug issue amongst our youth. Y'all say vaping is deeper than vaping, it's pills and it's shooting up as well. Those are conversations we don't want to have. We have a program, Drug-Free Elberton. Be at those tables because those resources are for us, but we're not there to receive them. And people will make decisions about you without you, and if you ain't at the table, you're on the menu. So you need to make sure your presence is known. And a lot of your drug issues come from unresolved trauma. A lot of us, what goes on in this house stays in this house, and we mute people that want to get these things out. Let them get it out. Let them get it out. Because if they hold it in, they only holding this stuff internally, which only will start to hurt and destroy their mental health. You wonder why she changing or he changing different people. You wonder why he's so angry every time. You wonder why they don't tell their kids they love them and hug them because they never were shown those things. And no two parents alone can do that. It takes all of us. So I ask you, you have a life jacket, will you use it? Will you give it to someone to survive? If you don't wake up and pay attention, The prison looking better than the school, and the funding is getting approved quicker than the school funding. Pay attention. And what happened to us dressing our children for success? Do you know they sit and characterize what child is going to prison based on how we dress them? If you dress them like the street, they go to the streets. I used to love to see the young ladies and young men in their suits and ties and different things because you're speaking it to existence for them. But now we don't want to be authentic. Be your true self. Let your true self out. But also, you have to understand this. When we're dealing with our youth in their dress, bed clothes, teach them that's for the bed. But you can't teach them it's for the bed if they see you walking out in your bed clothes. We have to set the tone for that. From the bunnies to everything. I'm at these meetings when they're discussing us in front of me. So if you know you belong to the Father, why are you walking like you don't know who you belong to? When we're getting ready to go to a party or social, don't you put an extra curl or extra time? The same thing apply when you stepping out of your house. Because you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who needs your energy when you walk out the room. When I tell you, our children are hurting, and I don't blame them, I blame us. I blame us because we're trying so hard for them to be better than us, but we're not pouring into them the foundation that we have. Church was never an option. You went to church. You had Easter speeches. You did the welcome and announcements. Because, see, if adults are doing everything, who are we passing the torch to? Who are we preparing to pass the torch to? We got to start preparing them for the time to come because they are our legacy. And if we don't pour into them, who's taking care of you when you go to the doctor? Who's at the nursing home? You have to be careful of that. Showing love, and love don't cost a thing. It doesn't. And when the next time you see a person and you say, hey, how you doing? Really it mean, how are you doing? Because by the time they answer, you at the other end. We are performative. We got to stop being performative. Be intentional. I want you here. And think about this. When you look at all the churches in Elbert County, the youth is missing in the church. But yet, we're not going outside the church. Because, see, the people is the church. So that means we need to get out there and we need to do more outreach. And you don't have to say, I'm a Christian. See, the God in you should show. And see, I'm the type of Christian, don't box me in because you'll be frustrated. Because, see, I want to go where them places people don't want to go because they scared of being judged. Because, see, I was counted out, so I know how it feels. And so, therefore, when I walk with a purpose or when you see me smiling, you should be happy for me because you don't know all the things I've been through. We got a lot of caretakers in here. I'm a caretaker. Been a caretaker most of my life. When my mom was placed on hospice in November, I knew God was real and he was intentional, but I didn't understand why all this stuff happened. And God, I done moved back and I feel like I'm making a change and you got all this stuff going. But see, my mama had cancer, lung, liver, bone, and brain in 2014, 49th birthday. I moved from Belton, South Carolina back to Elberton. And I moved back in with my mom. Now, mind you, my dad just told you I was raised by him and my grandma. So that was culture shock to me. So now I got to learn my mom. And when I tell you I didn't understand what was going on, And it was like God said, I wasn't ready to take her because you didn't know it was some unresolved issues. And I thank God to this day that he didn't take her 11 years ago, because I would have had so many question marks and anger within myself. But as I lived with my mom, I understood her story. Had my brother at 13. She explained to me why she gave me to my dad. That was the best thing she could have did. The selfless thing she could have ever did was give me a chance. But when I was a teenager, I was angry. Everybody else got their mama. I'm having boyfriend problem. Who want to tell their daddy? You know, I went through the whole stage of that. But I'm grateful for that. And when I tell you, man gave my mama 6 months to a year 11 years ago. And my mama is still here today. So you can't tell me God ain't real. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you feel. I know he's real. I've been known he was real. And when I tell you, I pray over myself. I touch and agree with those I come in contact with. Because let me tell you how this thing works. Just like you stated this morning, if he did it for me, he'll do it for you. And that's the same thing. And what I also learned to do is love. Love. Make memories. Life is about Eminem, making memories. Make as many memories as you can. Because one day, that's all you will have. Make them. And when it comes to our youth and the coaching and all these things, I just challenge you, quit taking the fun away from it. That is an outlet for so many. They might not have the skill set, but it's their safe space and their brave space. Please allow them to be able to be themselves. But in closing, as a community, we must support organizations and programs for our youth. It starts here with us. And let it be like wildfire, everybody else connected to what we're doing. But guess what? In everything we do, God got to be the centerpiece. And that is our goal. We've started a new program here in Elberton. And what we're doing is we use sports to bring them there, but we're teaching life skills. We're cleaning cemeteries and the churches, teaching them how to take pride in their community, getting back that Elbert County pride. Because I've noticed everybody is moving away. But people move away for opportunities. But we got to put ourselves in position where opportunities can be right here in Elberton. I wrote a poem, and I will close with this poem. The youth is not just our future. They are our present, too. That's why it is so important we be mindful of what we say and do. Our future is shaped by the sacrifices we make. It is more important to give than to take. God is so intentional in everything he understands. So it is our responsibility to help our youth take God's hand. We must not get weary when doing well. And let Satan know our youth souls is not for sale. Moving forward, I challenge you all today. Give a child a life jacket. Everything will be okay. Love is action. So we have work to do. I need you to survive, and our youth needs you too. Thank you.